Against South Carolina, had a good win. It's great to get an SEC win. Like I said, got out of the blocks a little slow offensively and even defense. We give up a drive on defense. And then after the first 3, we scored 6 out of the next 7 offensively, moved the ball really well. Scored the 3 touchdowns in the next 3 drives in the second quarter, and then 3 straight. Had a really long drive down there, which we thought we scored, and then had another chance and got a field goal. And another one, we had a half a yard. Probably would have went for it, but we were up 1 score, so wanted to go for 2, get up 2 scores, and then had a penalty on the next turnover. And after we got set back, did a good job of getting it back in field goal range. Hit a really nice field goal long there. But defense, we did a really nice job in the game. After that, I think second drive of the game. They got down and got to score, and then they got really, second quarter, really strong offensively and defensively. They played well defensively. We responded well offensively. Did a good job keeping the quarterback in the pocket. They did some things early to get him outside. We adjusted. They had really good receivers, skill guys, and Rattler can really play. I mean, he's a really good football player. Guy gonna play. He'll play on Sundays and play a long time so into receivers. And back did a good job. But then I think second half come out and we give up that drive defensively the second half right off the bat, which we hadn't done. And then then we come back and get a field goal, and then they get another long drive and get a touchdown, get it back within the score. And then we come back and got that long drive and got to the 11-yard line, had a half a yard, it's under a yard, and I said, we need to get up for 2 scores. That was good there. And then we got control of the game again. But they were back and forth. They have good skill guys. But coming off the off week, it was good. Now we got to get better. And what we got, Ole Miss is a really good football team. Like I say, everybody talks about them offensively, which their running backs are outstanding. Quarterbacks athletic, can make plays, throws the ball. Receivers, transfer portal's been done really well with these guys. 9, 19, 11 have all done really well. Their offensive line's good. But their defense, man, has really played well. They've had some shutouts here lately and played extremely well. Their front, they've done a really good job in the transfer portal there. 89 transfer in Pegasus. JJ is he's a dynamic inside guy, physical. 95 is very physical. 90 is physical with all those guys inside. The ends can rush. 2 and 15 are athletic, long. 6'2 and a half, 6'3", 260, 270, 165 can rush. They get 4, the young backer, Perkins, who was an outstanding young freshman, who they get him on the edge and play him at backer in there. The linebackers, 23 and 11. 7's been a great junior college transfer for him. One of the best corners will play. 6 is a really good player. 3, 25, 5. I mean, they've all done a really good job. And in these special teams, they're sound in what they do and got good returners, good kickers, good punters, and do a really nice job. So we're going to have to play well on the road and need to have a good week of practice to be able to go do that. So, questions?
Down front, Brent.
Y'all had the string of touchdowns in the second quarter, but the past 4 games, is there anything when you look at the tape and you say, hey, what can we do different in the second half in terms of offensive?
No, well, we did. Listen, we went down and scored 3 straight drives. And we scored a touchdown, which was a touchdown. I ain't gonna sit there and say it didn't. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the game was called very well in the game, and I can see that guy saying, "Hey, not saying that's a touchdown." But when you review it, and the explanation I got, the only problem I had with it was they said that we couldn't tell if the ball moved. Well, we couldn't tell if the ball moved. It didn't move. So if his foot's down and the ball didn't move, isn't that a touchdown? So that's a touchdown. The next one, like I said, we're 4th and a half a yard, and probably would have went for it again. But instead of taking that chance and leaving them in the game, you went up 2 scores. But we controlled the ball with the running game, had 14-play drive, a 9-play drive, and then the third drive we kicked the field goal. We got a penalty. That's we only had 2 penalties in the game, and we got caught a holding call that set us back, and we did a good job of recovering back to get in field goal range. And then the game's over. Then at the end, a couple times down, could we have thrown the ball and done some things but once it got down inside 5 minutes, we wanted to eat clock and just take the game as we went, and were able to kick field goals. So weren't there. So I don't think, I thought we played well second half on offensively down there. I wish we would have got touchdowns, but we're right there from a touchdown we catch, and the next one Noah's got it, and the guy gets his hand. That's the inches. We just got to keep playing for that. So I like what we did and how we did it. So keep getting better.
Have you had any thought of rethinking your travel schedule when you travel 2 days before?
No, that's the best thing we do, and the reason we do it is because academics. It's the best academic day we get all day on Friday, and we get the whole team there, and our academics get those guys for 3 hours in the morning. It's not just about the travel. It's about getting them off the streets on Thursday night, get extra rest, and then you get academics on Friday, because when you leave here on Friday, you're missing class. And that way you don't miss class and study hall and all the things that go with it. So it helps the kids academically to even be better there on Friday. So we have a better academic day on Friday, because you'd have to miss class, have your meetings, and then leave early. So it helps us academically to do that. Unless that's not important.
Second row,
Of course, I'm going to have a few things. How much, when you
face Lane, do you have to account for maybe some of the unorthodox things that he tends to do in games, like, for instance, faking a punt at his own 16-yard line last year?
People do that all the time. I mean, there's different people who do it. I mean, every coach has his own style of how you coach and what you play. And he's been very successful with his and done a good job. So, I mean, you go off guys' tendencies just like you would what a guy's tendencies on fourth down, when it's on red zone, whether it's, I mean, whatever they're, like last week, we were ready for every, Shane Beamer's always known to pull fakes. Their punter was 4 for 4 with completions. I mean, so every fake punt, every angle, they did a really good unbalanced formation where they'd never showed us in that game, where they had to guard. Had to guard was an eligible guy, which we hadn't seen, and our guys recognized it because we were aware that they will do things, as I say, shenanigans or tricks on punt, things like that too. We had to go over that last week. That was a big emphasis during the week for the success they've always had on their punt, their special teams. So, I mean, each coach has his tendency of what he wants to do when he wants to do it. People didn't realize that Nick used to be a big guy like that. Just like when he helped win the national championship against Clemson that day when he hit that bloop kick, remember, to the right. We used to, when we were at LSU, we would do those things. We let off a game against Auburn one year for the SEC championship. We were playing for the SEC West, and they got a penalty off pre-snap, danced on our eye, the Tiger, and we were at LSU, and we started from the 50, and we opened with an onside kick and got it, went down and scored and took control of the game. So, I mean, coaches, you look in their background where they're at, so you always have tendencies of guys that do that, and Lane definitely does.
Bryce Anderson, my question for him is, how big a factor is he in the run defense?
Oh, huge. When you're a Nick, I mean, listen, your safeties are linebackers. And people don't understand how the defense is designed, and even corners are. When you have what I call trap corners or two deep corners that play inside, there's different ways to play cover two when you're outside. But then there's times when you're an inside trap corner. What I mean, you get inside the receiver where you can't be blocked in a cover two. You're in the run fit. So our safeties and corners and your nickels, they're all like linebackers. So their gap responsibility of how you spill the ball or set the ball or how they spill it back is huge in what you do in the run game.
And I just want to ask one last thing about punting. Nick's been struggling the last 3 games. Is that to a point where you give somebody else a shot, or
no? Right, Nick's our punter, and he's a very good punter and done it for a long time. And we'll work on his technique and get his timing and rhythm. And like I say, it's a difference from your toe being here to here, different in ball placement. And sometimes it's even the ball drop, where the tip is or that. It's got to get him back in the groove. And we had a lucky breakdown. We had missed a twist up front that they could have had a block kick on us in that game, and it was by a very significant guy that shocked me that he missed it. A guy that's a really, really good player for us, an experienced player, but it just shows you on everything that happens, it can happen, and that rushed one of them. But he hasn't been kicking it like he normally does, so we'll get him back this week and get him going.
Statistically, that was a block because the ball changed trajectory.
Was it really?
Yes, sir.
Did he get a piece
we
of
went
it?
back video
Gotcha.
and saw that. Going back behind the lights to Tyler.
Jimbo, what have you seen from Mark Nebo and just kind of his development this season?
He's going to be a good player, and he keeps playing. Him and Cam, we rotate at guard. Those guys are going to be both really good young players, and Mark's a very versatile guy. He started at center for one game for us. He played a whole game at center already this year. I think it was ULM game, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
I believe it was. He was a center. Can play multiple positions and has the ability to play tackle. He's athletic, long, big, and smart guy. And to play 3 positions and play center and make the calls, very intelligent, very gifted guy.
And then can you put your finger on maybe some of the struggles you guys have had on the road lately, and just what is the key to going?
Well, when you go on the road, you got to silence the crowd. The momentum swings, and you got to play better football. You got to be sound in what you do and everything that goes on, and you got to understand the mentality you got to take on the road. You got to block out the noise, block out the clutter, and go play. I mean, you got to execute in critical moments, and that's what it gets down to.
We'll stay back behind the lights, right side, Justin, then down front, Cole.
Jimbo, update on Le'Veon. Will he be back this week?
Yeah, should be. Should be back and be in practice today.
What when you look at Jackson Dart, what sticks out about him?
Playmaker, first thing I think of. Can throw it, has very strong arm, gets the ball down the field, gets the shot plays to where they got to get to, but then can improvise and run, and then they have planned quarterback runs off of it too, whether it's cheat runs up inside, and can run between the tackles or outside. So, a very gifted guy with a lot of ability, and they rely a lot on him and on his legs and his arm.
Down front, Cole.
Jimbo, there's always attentiveness when it comes to quarterback in the SEC, but they have 2 running backs in Ulysses Bentley and Quinshawn Junkins who do a very nice job of complementing each other. What about the offense really stands out with Lane when it comes to those two?
Well, I mean, I think the balance. They run the football, take shots, and the quarterback can create plays with his legs. I mean, they're physical up front, but they got the receivers. The transfer portal has been tremendous for them. They've done a great job. I mean, some people do it in high school recruiting. Some guys do it in the portal. They're do it in the portal and get experienced guys. The guys can make plays down the field. Dart can take shots. He can create plays with his legs, when things break down or if it's planned. So, I mean, you're playing a team that can run with the backs, run with the quarterback, and throw the ball down the field with very dynamic playmakers, whether they're quick change of direction guys that can get the ball in screen game and stuff, or can take shots down the field. So, I mean, they're very balanced. They're very good guys.
And then also, when you just look at Moose Muhammad, his rep count's kind of gone down, or he didn't seem to really be active in the last game. Is there a reason behind that?
No,
or?
I mean, just guys are playing and different things we're doing schematically, and some guys are playing. They're in the rotation, and he'll be right there. There's nothing wrong he's doing. We'll keep him going.
Fourth row on the left.
Howdy, Coach.
There you go.
So you guys had some really good success in short yardage this last weekend. Was that something that you just saw something? You did
No, we
some
worked on
quarterback
it. We were very
sneaks?
conscientious of it and going in, and we had been until the last two. I mean, the last two games we haven't, but we were we're pretty good on short yardage before that. We faced a couple good teams, and like I said, the Alabama game, the first one, we had a missed assignment. We had a guy go the wrong way, then we had a throw that we just didn't get off, and then we had another 3rd and 2 in that game. We got about a yard. We elected to punt it, and then at Tennessee we had 2 and gained about 1.5, and then we stepped on our toe on the next one. So that was the end of that. And before that, we were good, and last game we were good. So hopefully we'll continue to be good.
But can your guys gain a lot of confidence when you have success on the short yards?
Oh, yeah. I
situation?
mean, there's no doubt. I mean, anytime you have success in anything you're doing, the more success you have, I don't care if it's throwing deep balls, quick game, covering, punting, whatever it may be, you have success, it brings confidence. And it's amazing how you can have a play that misses by that far, and a guy will go, all of a sudden, kid will think, well, we're not any good at it. And you make it by that far, and you think, boy, we're the best in the world at it. It's amazing how the mindset of things go on. And that's why I say you can't ever get too high or too low, and just keep your confidence and understand why it happened. And our guys did a really good job, I thought, this week of bouncing back and converting those situations because they were huge in the game.
Front row right.
On the
Travis,
goal line and in the field.
and then Cease.
Hey, Jim, but with the transfer portal, how many guys are moving, coaches moving? Do you find that in this area of college football, you have to change up your signals more often?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I mean, we do that all the time. That's all. Not any more than you normally do. You used to always do them. Have 4 things for this, 3 things for this, 4 things. I mean, a signal can, they can have 3 different signals for the same thing. You always do it to mix them up and match them. That's always been, that's the old baseball. You've been to baseball. How'd you do it on third base? If third base guy kept same signals every day, they knew when you was bunting, they knew when you was hitting, running, they knew when you was stealing, they was pitching. Am I right? It's no different.
Yeah.
I mean, from what you're doing in baseball. I mean, that's where it all came from.
Yeah. And
Because we used to send them. In our day, when I played, they sent players in. You didn't even signal.
do you all know across the conference who are the teams that are good at picking off signals and have mitigations for that?
Yeah. And like I always say, I mean, if you do them in the middle of a game and you can pick them up, that's more power to you. That's the way you used to do on third base coach. I mean, during the day. I mean, some of the other stuff I ain't gonna get into, but I mean, you're smart enough to figure it out then. But and that's why you gotta have multiple things. And you have, like we have a kill sign. You give them away. Where's the live sign? Where's who's a dummy signaler? Who's live? I mean, the whole gamut.
Front left, Cease.
That's why if we just make a piece in the ear and we can talk, cure a lot of problems. Cure a lot of problems.
Jimbo, you talk about self-evaluation. So you went for it on 4th down 4 times after 2 for 7 early in the season. You're playing Lane, who goes for a lot of 4th. Have you thought about changing and going for more 4th downs?
Well, it just depends. You can't go in and say, I'm going for every 4th down. If you want to, you can. I always believe it's the flow of the game, momentum of the game, the situation of the game, how your defense lines up against their offense, where your offense lines up against their defense, and where your strengths and weaknesses are. I think it's too complicated, and it's not that cut and dry to say, I'm just going for it on 4th down. I mean, got based on the score of the game, flow of the game, and there's too many mitigating factors that tell you to do it or not do it, in my opinion. That's just the way I look at it.
But I guess what I ask you, be more apt to gamble now than maybe earlier in the year last year.
No, just it depends on how the flow of the game. If we're ahead and we need a score to go up 3 or a score to go up 2 or, to put it away or whatever, yeah, I mean, you're always – and your approach is never going to change, I don't think, anymore. Maybe theirs does. You know what I mean? And like I say, you saw, as like I said, some of those weekends I got to watch, some of those guys went for it and cost themselves. I mean, some guys cost themselves in not taking points and things. And that's just nature of the beast. If you execute it, it's a great analytic. If you don't, it's a bad analytic.
Second row left, Carter.
Jimbo, you guys have rotated at left guard and right tackle. I'm wondering if that's kind of like a riding the hot hand situation, or is that?
Well, no, those guys deserve to play. Those guys have earned the right to play in practice, and we feel very comfortable in the game. It's like having two. We think those guys are co-starters, and we want to keep developing those guys and what we're trying to do.
With Edgerrin Cooper, did you foresee him improving this much? And have you seen a player improve this much year to year? Have you seen many?
I've seen a lot of them do it that way. I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, guys that have played, and it's when the light comes on. Did he always have the ability to do it? Yes. And it got down, and I can say, well, what did he do? What did he go lift weights? Did he go drink? No. Base, fundamental things. Eyes in the right place, understanding the defense, studying for the test. And like I say, there's a difference, too, when maturity comes and you're at linebacker and all the multiplicity of things you have to do. There's a difference. It's like when you've taken a test in school. You used to take a test and you make good grades, but you write that answer down and you're 85, 90. Well, I'm pretty sure I got that one right. Then there's other time, no, I guarantee you I made that one right. And that's the way he's playing. He knows the answers to the test because he's understanding, too, film study, player development. I mean, you understand how quick a college guy, I don't mean to go in, but you're 18 to 22. You don't know how to study. How many kids, when you went to college, did you really know how to study for a test? A really hard professor coming out of high school? Unless you were blessed at a certain high school? Not that you didn't have knowledge, not that you weren't intelligent, but did you really know how to study for a big-time exam in what you were doing? That's the way players don't. And most of the players that come out of high school are what? Better than everybody they play against. So what do? They don't have to cram the details of how to study to be a great player because their physical abilities take over that. And time, why you say guys make big jumps, it's not, they've gotten physically better and stronger, but what happens is when they talk about the games, they learn how to study and they learn how to prepare and they know how to recognize formations. They know how to recognize a guard's stance in front of him. He's a light-handed, he's a heavy-handed. They know how to read a quarterback's dynamics or his eyes when he comes to the ball. If he has a habit of looking up on a pass, looking down on a run, whatever. I mean, all those little things make a nuance about what's going to happen and eliminating 98% of what's going to happen and get it down to 1 or 2%, and then they react quicker. Now you see their physical skills. And I know it's that simple. It's maturity. It's also your development and how you prepare for a game. And not just, guys say, well, they can study film and watch film, but do they study? Do they know what they're looking at? And then as a coach, you try to teach your players. I mean, all right, we're studying this situation. This is what we're looking for. You're looking for these tendencies, and it's an art to learn how to study film. It really is. And how to prepare. And I think that's what you're seeing with him because now he's always been able to run, hit, play, physical, do all those things. And I think what's happening, he's learned how to study for the test, and he's knowing the answers or getting it down to 1 or 2 things before it happens. And that's what you're seeing.
Right side, Ben, you wrap us up. We got players ready.
Coach, earlier in the year, their run game seemed like it struggled to get going at times, and it's gotten going a little bit more.
You saying Ole Misses?
Ole Misses, yes.
Okay,
especially with Judkins. Have you seen anything that they've been doing well lately, or
well, I mean, they're getting hats to a hat, and it's getting back in the groove. And I think sometimes, you start, they were throwing the ball a little bit in the beginning of the season too, throwing the ball a little more and doing some things. And I think they've gotten back into running the football and taking the shots and do what they always do, and they're doing a really good job of it. And I think the more carries he got, the more, I've had that with some of the backs I had it back at times, even, a chain spiller, go back to Dalvin Cook. I remember one year, the first game, he was just missing cuts. And sometimes those guys have come off great years like he did as a freshman. I mean, what, he had 1,400 yards or something like that. You come back the next year and you say, okay, it's like when Jameis won the Heisman for me. All right, I got to do better than I did the year before. No, you don't. You got to run the play that's in front of you, whatever the defense gives you. And sometimes you press. And I don't know if that's the case or whatever, but man, he's in the groove now. He's hitting the runs. You see the cuts, and he very rarely misses cuts. And both backs, I mean, and they're blocking. They got in the groove of what they're doing offensively and done really well. They're playing well.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.